Liverpool Football Club have more than a 60% chance of winning the Premier League. Now, when I read this stat, it blew my mind. I felt like we needed to give it the due diligence that it deserves. We need to explore the nuance underlying within these numbers. But before we do that, first, we must celebrate. Because club football is back. The Premier League is back in our lives. And we will not have to suffer the intrusion of international football again for 6 months. Sensational news. Now we can simply focus on the joy that is club football. Premier League football. The excitement, the antipathy, the jeopardy. There is nothing quite like it. Premier League football is unrivaled. Premier League football is unmatched. And now we have the luxury of being able to fully focus on Premier League football. And where else but to start than the top of the league? I mean, that's right. We all know that Liverpool have been devastatingly good. Arne Slot has been getting everything right. He has been turning water into wine and wine into gold. The man is seemingly a genius. 28 points from 11 matches. A 5-point advantage over Manchester City. And in my opinion, most impressively, in those 11 games, only 6 goals conceded. Having a frugal, miserly, stingy defence that give you nothing is exactly the tonic that you need to win the Premier League. 6 goals conceded in 11 games. Context here is very important. Second place Manchester City have conceded 13, more than double what Liverpool have conceded. And sometimes people say that I'm old-fashioned or a nostalgia merchant, but this I do believe. The old adage, goals win you games, defences win you leagues. This Liverpool team's robust and excellent defence is the reason why they are going to win the Premier League. And if you don't want to just take my word for it, or the word of Opta, who have them more than a 60% favourite, watch to the end of this video. It's compelling. So the back line is simply sensational, isn't it? In a player like Ibrahima Konate, Liverpool have one of the best defenders in the league this season. He's immense. He's impenetrable. When it comes to deploying a system to somehow work around Ibrahima Konate, to exploit his vulnerability, where on earth do you start? I actually had this conversation in the pub with my mate when I was watching the Liverpool-Villa game. We were talking about Unai Emery, brilliant manager. Unai Emery's on the touchline. And he's going to go on the touchline to his striker, Ollie Watkins, or John Duran when he came on. And he's going to go, right, this is what I need you to do. I need you to, hypothetically, genuinely play the game. What on earth does Unai Emery tell his centre-forward to do to somehow exploit the weakness of Ibrahima Konate? Konate is better than Watkins. He's faster than Watkins. He's stronger than Watkins. He's more intelligent than Watkins. He is overall a better player than Watkins. Where does Watkins operate? The exact same is true about John Duran. And this is where the point hits home. Ibrahima Konate is not even Liverpool's best centre-half. So you use Konate to demonstrate the brilliance of Liverpool simply because he isn't even the best centre-half at the club. That is the strength of this Liverpool backline. And then up front, they score goals for fun. Maybe not to the rate that they did under Jurgen Klopp. Maybe not the frequency that they did under Klopp. And maybe this front line isn't comparable to that dazzling front line that they assembled in Klopp's pomp. I would argue that Firmino, Mane and Salah is a better front line than the one that they have today. But that doesn't mean that the one that they have today is not simply brilliant. And one thing that is true, if we are going to compare the eras, the Mohamed Salah today is actually better than the player that he was just under half a decade ago. Salah today, he may not be quite as thrilling, he may not be quite as electrifying, but he is even more ruthless and even more effective. What he brings to the team today, although it may be less dramatic, less headline worthy, it's actually a better product. It's astounding what Mohamed Salah has become and what he is today to this Liverpool team. A true great of the game. And in this form, how on earth can anyone look beyond him? I actually read a great excerpt about Mohamed Salah talking about being a footballer that gave me a real insight into the character that he is and the man that he wants to be. He was reminiscing about a conversation that he had had with Arsene Wenger. He asked Arsene Wenger, what makes a great player? And Wenger's instruction to him, Wenger's way of informing him what he believed made a great player rather than just a good player, was the difference. The difference between the great and the good is that a great can play badly and always be in a game, can play badly and always affect the game, can play badly and still have that decisive moment in the game. A good player, in Wenger's eyes, would be good when things are going well, but when he was having an off day, he wouldn't really impact the game. That was Wenger's idea of being different. So those words and that conversation that Salah had with Wenger obviously stayed with him. There was a moment this season, Salah didn't specify the moment, but there was a moment this season where Johnny Heitinga, I know it sounds weird talking about Johnny Heitinga in a Liverpool context, but Johnny Heitinga, despite being a former Everton player, is now on the staff at Liverpool. Johnny Heitinga had a little bit of a pop at Salah, said that he wasn't playing well, wasn't doing enough, and Salah's response here was key, and key to the man that he is. Now he's older, he's more responsible. He knows that he can pick his spots, wait for his moment, be Panther-like, pounce when it is most necessary. Salah does not need to be 100 miles an hour for 90 minutes anymore. He doesn't need to force the issue. He can wait, knowing full well that when the moment arrives, he will take it. And that is why he's the player that he is. And that is why, at this stage of the season, after only 11 games, Mohamed Salah has managed to accrue 10 goals and 10 assists already. So, the stats have told us that they don't concede many goals. The stats have also told us that they score bundles of goals. We don't need the stats for that, but let's analyse them anyway. 21 league goals already in 11 games. They're averaging about 2 goals a game. Only Man City, Tottenham and Brentford have scored more goals than Liverpool in the league this season. Plus, it's important to remember that it isn't only in the Premier League where Liverpool are doing the business. Look at their form in Europe. In the Champions League, they are brilliant. And only Barcelona, Dortmund and Munich have scored more goals than Liverpool. In the 4 Champions League matches that Liverpool have played, they have scored 10 goals. And it's the variety of goal scorer that they have that makes them so potent. I remember when Chelsea were in our pomp, when we were a shoe-in for the league, part of the reason that we were so good is because we had goals all over that front line. In all of our brilliant teams, you always had a front line that could share the goals out. You were never totally reliant on one man. Didn't matter what team. Drogba, Duff, Robben, Joe Cole, Flora Malouda, Solomon Kalou. The goals could come from anywhere. And this Liverpool team is a mirror image of that. We've already established that Mohamed Salah has got 10 goals and 10 assists in 11 games. But Luis Diaz's season, his contribution is also huge. He has got 11 goal contributions already so far this season. He is averaging 1 a game. But then Cody Gakpo has got 8. Diogo Jota has got 6. And Darwin Núñez, who I see as a real threat, has also got 5. So when I was talking about somehow getting round the back of Liverpool, somehow finding a way to exploit the weakness and the vulnerability in that back line, and we concluded that it's pretty much impossible. The same is true of that forward line. Where do you start? You stop Salah, Diaz gets you. You stop Diaz and Salah, Jota gets you. You stop those 3, Gakpo gets you. And we've seen it in all competitions. Like, look at what they did to Bayer Leverkusen. And you know that weird fallacy that was being discussed a little while ago? When people were saying, Liverpool haven't played anybody. I countered that massively at the time. Going to the San Siro and winning from behind is huge. I would also argue that even at that time, I know Manchester United were in disarray and Ten Hag did not know what he was doing. But going to Old Trafford for Liverpool Football Club and winning in the way that they did 3-0 in one of Arne Slot's first games in charge, I saw that as a very significant result as well. What was proved very early on with this Liverpool team and Slot's Liverpool team was that they can win in difficult circumstances. I don't care what you say. I don't care what you say about the standard of Italian football. Winning in the San Siro is a statement. Similarly, I don't care what you say about the state of Manchester United. For Liverpool Football Club, on some metric, they will not play a harder game this season than going to Old Trafford, simply because of the hostility and the history and the rivalry between those two clubs. To go there in Slot's 3rd game and win in the way that they did, statement result. What I think could be interesting now is if we actually explore the vulnerability. Like, I actually agree with Opta's assessment. The 60% likelihood of Liverpool winning the league. To be totally honest, I think that sounds a little stingy on them. I think that it's more in the bag than that. But shall we explore why maybe it doesn't go their way? Where could it falter? Where is the weakness in this Liverpool team? Shall we try and find it? There is a theory that when Liverpool are winning games, they are guilty of maybe taking their foot off the gas, maybe switching off, maybe allowing other teams back into the game. And if that is something that does happen, ultimately it will get you. At some point in the season, if you aren't fully concentrating, you will be winning a game 2-0 and that game will finish 2-2. To demonstrate the point, the stats here are quite interesting. Against Manchester United, when Liverpool were winning the game 3-0, Liverpool faced 5 shots. They allowed Manchester United to have 5 shots on their goal, 5 shots on target. Actually, this is quite interesting. The exact same thing happened against Bournemouth. Some would say that this is a slight chink in the armour, maybe. I'm not sure that I agree. I would say that shots that a team face when the game is already sewn up and the 3 points are already in the bag are inconsequential. If Liverpool take their foot off the gas when they're 3-0 up at Old Trafford and somehow Marcus Rashford gets a couple of shots off on their goal, I don't think it really matters. The only time it will matter is if Liverpool do find themselves in a privileged position and that privilege gets cut away. But it feels like we're searching for a problem here. This one could be slightly more interesting. This is interesting. Set pieces. Over the years, Liverpool have been one of the best set-piece teams in the country, but that is not the case at the moment. Liverpool have scored just 2 goals from set pieces so far this season. They have the 4th lowest expected goals from set pieces in the country. It's interesting because this just doesn't chime with the Liverpool side that I know. Big, purposeful, menacing, threatening. Liverpool, in fact, convert their set pieces into shots at the lowest frequency in the Premier League. Could be tactical, could be the way that they take the corners, could be what they're trying to achieve with corners. But ultimately, set pieces are a huge part of football. And you should, particularly a team of Liverpool's stature, you should be deploying more of a threat from set pieces. But this is just not the equaliser. This is not going to be the significant gear shift to make me change my opinion that Liverpool are going to win the league. The only other potential weakness, and again, I'm searching for it here, but is possibly worth discussion, the midfield. That 4-2-4 system that Liverpool use when they are trying to press the opposition, it doesn't necessarily look perfect. Like you think about the game against us, for example. I felt like we could get through their midfield. There were ways of passing through the midfield. Don't get me wrong, Liverpool won the game. Curtis Jones was fantastic that day. But there were moments where I thought we gave Liverpool a slight problem. And although Arne Slot has done an amazing thing with that midfield, redefining Ryan Gravenberch, allowing Ryan Gravenberch to become an indispensable part of the team. If you think about how Slot has improved him, he has changed the entire trajectory of what we thought Ryan Gravenberch was going to be. You know, last season under Klopp, he was on the periphery at best. Now you could argue that Ryan Gravenberch is the first name on that team sheet, closely followed by Curtis Jones. He's silk, isn't he? Beautiful footballer. And it's now got to the stage where I don't even see a weakness in that midfield. Some would argue that they need to sign someone. Maybe the fact that they didn't get Lavia when they wanted him, didn't get Caicedo when they wanted him, could mean that they still need some reinforcements in that midfield. I'm just not so sure. So I do think it's an interesting one, but I conclude that Liverpool are now going to win the league. If you think about the major challengers, Arsenal and Manchester City, there is now only one. Arsenal are 9 points behind the league leaders after 11 games. Nobody has ever won the league from that deficit. And as good as Mikel Arteta is, and as impressive as this Arsenal team have been over recent years, they are not groundbreaking. They're a good side, but they are not going to shatter a Premier League record that nobody has ever managed to eclipse this level of deficit. That will not happen. Manchester City, it's different. Of course, Man City can go on a run. Of course, Man City can win the league from only 5 points behind. But I honestly think Liverpool are better than them. And from this position, those icons at Liverpool are simply not going to let it slip. Liverpool are going to win the league. And you know why? Because Mohamed Salah won't allow it not to happen. It's actually interesting, isn't it? Because when I thought about doing this video, it was off the back of reading that headline. That Opta stat, that Opta had made Liverpool more than 60% favourites to win the league after 11 games. When I first read it, I thought 60%? No way, it's impossible. You know, they gave Arsenal 5%. But when you actually drill down into it, when you think about what Arne Slot has done, when you think about the icons in that Liverpool team, the history of the club, the brilliance of the manager, I honestly think that 60% could actually be a little bit stingy. Right, so there we have it. They're my thoughts. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really do hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, please do me a favour. Please click subscribe. It would be my honour to welcome you into this community. And if you have really enjoyed it, why not give the video a like? Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day. In a bit, yo.